I welcome Adam Ostolski from Poland. And yeah, I would connect to that last topic. Do you have that? Do you face that barrier, that hurdle in Poland when discussing a basic income?
Yes, there is definitely some cultural opposition, not to the concept of basic income, because the concept is not very much present in the public space, but to similar policies that have some basic assumptions that basic income also has. So, for example, we've got now a universal child allowance introduced by a conservative government. It is not means tested, and it is unconditional. And many people, both in the political life and in common life, like as citizens, voice skepticism towards this policy, addressing or being skeptical about these very assumptions, that it is not means tested. So some people, especially those who believe themselves to be either liberal or social democrats, they believe that any benefits or allowances should be means tested, should be just for the needing. And I know it's not an established concept of what social democratic approach means, but it is how it works in Poland. And also many people, especially those who consider themselves liberal, they believe that it should be conditional on the willingness to take a wage work. So if we have a sociological look at the debate around universal child allowance, we can see that some value judgments necessary to justify basic income are not shared by many people in the population. Still, I believe that what are the strengths of universal child allowance may also be strengths of a basic income campaign. Like we can treat this child allowance as a foot in the door. So people really are happy with the feeling, the experience of liberty it gives them, individual liberty, individual choice. They feel empowered versus the employer. So they are not, basically speaking, forced to take bullshit jobs or jobs really low paid or in humiliating conditions and so on and so forth. And it is important for many people, this understanding of freedom, and also perhaps in a paternalistic mode, but many people are happy that the state finally has done something for them. And I believe it is also an asset for all those who would like to campaign in favor of basic income. It should be this concept of a benign state that takes care of the people. As an intellectual, I am skeptical about this understanding of the state power, but as a citizen and campaigner, I would definitely use that leverage.
That's an interesting angle. In your statement leading to this conference, you called the basic income a utopia of politics. In German, most of the German audience might notice there's a famous quote by a former chancellor who said, "If you have visions, you should go see a doctor and not do politics." What would be your suggestion, especially in a country with a lot of skepticism towards a basic income? How do we successfully sell a utopia?
Actually, a utopia is the only realistic way forward, because otherwise we are just condemned to repairing the holes in the system as it stands. And we know that the system does not work either for the society or for the planet. And repairing the holes in the system or like problem-solving approach is not going to lead us much further. But in order to be, when I say it is a utopia, I also mean that I keep some distance to very enthusiastic understandings of basic income. Personally, I don't know if it's going to work or not. And I admit my ambivalence, but I believe it is worth trying because it leads us beyond our dogmas, beyond our established assumptions, beyond our ideologies, and most importantly, it helps us go beyond the ideology that I believe to be at the core of the fascist understanding of the world. It is that life is something that should be deserved. And I believe that life is something that you need not be a deserving person to have a right. And when I speak about this utopian dimension, I also mean that it enables us to it doesn't give solutions in the problem-solving manner, but it enables us to at least address what are the genuine troubles of our times. And for example, a very common argument against basic income is how it will be funded. And I usually have two answers. One is a humorous answer and the other is a serious one. The humorous answer is that Milton Friedman would say that, like, he believed that it could be funded, and who am I to argue with Milton Friedman? And the serious answer is that we cannot go forward without changing our money creation system. We treat money as coal, like as a resource that is like in the ground, and it is limited, and if we use too much of it, it will be toxic. And it is true about the money we use, because the money we use is created this way, like fossil fuels are. But this way of money creation, money created as debt issued by private banks, it actually creates huge amounts of debt that should be repaid. So we need economic growth. We need to work really hard to have this growth, we need to exploit the planet to have this growth. And actually we are in great trouble, So whether we have the answer how to create money better than we do now or not, I don't know. Perhaps some people do have the answer. I am happy now to pose this question seriously, because I'm certain that the way we create our money is not viable in the long term, either for the planet or for the societies. And the charm of the basic income idea is that it forces us to truly rethink the basics of how we fund our collective life on the planet and within society.
I really enjoy how you connected to a lot of the other speakers in that statement to Bence when you said that it is a contraposition to fascist politics, to Philip when you remarked that the ideology of growth is not sustainable and cannot go forward. Of course, as Greens, we can all relate that coal and fossil fuels should not be our guiding metaphors in anything we do. I know that you're not like a official spokesperson or anything of the Polish Greens, but maybe you can also give us a little bit of a outlook or insight better how the Polish Greens stand towards a basic income.
Well, I am a retired Green politician, and I'm not a member of any party right now, but I have many friendly feelings towards Polish Greens. And the Polish Green Party had a decade-long debate on universal basic income, and it was resolved in 2016 when in a new party manifesto it was voted by the delegates in favor of universal basic income, and there were three justifications for it. It should enable satisfaction of basic needs, it should provide a sense of security, and it should empower employees dealing with employers. That was the idea, the justification in the manifesto. now, right now, it's of course not the main campaigning point, because in Poland right now we are defending basic dignity of women to have not be forced to bear lethally malformed fetuses, and also the basic dignity of LGBT people. So these are the struggles right now that focus emotions, and they are important struggles. But the Green Party, I believe, is still loyal to the message that is in the manifesto, and it still stands out as the only political party in Poland that actually has this as their policy.
And though it's not our topic tonight, I really would like to thank you, and maybe you can relay these thank yous to each and everyone fighting for women's rights, for LGBT rights right now in Poland. It's also something very close to me. So I hope that you and all the others will be successful. And I still think I totally understand it's not the main campaigning point right now. But as you mentioned it initially, there is this very close connection of this utopia, fundamentally believing that each and everyone is born with dignity and has a right to a dignified life, whilst on the other side, right-wing and fascist governments trying to dictate who deserves to live, who's allowed to live, and who deserves to determine how they want to live their life. Thank you very much for these insights, and we're looking forward to reading more from you on basic income all over Europe, and in Poland in particular, on the Green European Journal, where you are an editor. Thank you very much, Adam.
Thank you.